Non-resident Sandy Neck stickers will cost more next summer. The school committee discussing a project that would upgrade the athletic fields at Barnstable High School. And the Barnstable Senior Center is getting help from 2 grants. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Wednesday, October 23rd, 2014. I'm Sarah Mannel. The Sandy Neck Board this week voted to approve modest rate hikes. Rates as approved by the board will keep the resident rate at $85, but bump rates for non-residents, overnight camping, and non-resident seasonal permits. The Sandy Neck Board voted to approve the rate hikes at Monday's meeting. The school committee will consider a plan to improve the athletic fields at Barnstable High School. During a workshop held yesterday, the school committee heard from Athletic Director Scott Thomas about the need for renovations to the fields.
The estimated Phase 1 project budget is $4 million. That would include the artificial turf multi-purpose field, the natural turf varsity baseball field with all the amenities and appurtenances, lighting for both of the fields, the restroom building and a plaza around it, spectator stands for both fields, and some general site improvements, the walking paths, the electrical services, utilities associated with it, and so forth. We also looked at as an alternative. One of the questions that had been asked is, could we do the baseball field in artificial? And we said yes, that could be accomplished. That would add a delta of about between $600,000 and $700,000 to go to an artificial turf baseball field as one option. And if we did do the softball field infield as part of this phase, that would add about $100,000 in terms of the total.
Architect John Casita says the project would be completed in 3 phases.
Baseball fields
are in terrible shape.
They're both in terrible condition, to the point where we have to do something in terms of a significant repair or a rebuild. And the backstop that is on the varsity baseball field is years and years past its time. It's borderline unsafe. It's something that definitely needs to be addressed. The field itself, with the way that it is settled, it's uneven. It's got quite a lip on it. There's a lot of things that really could be considered, unsafe. I've been involved in baseball on Cape Cod my whole life, and I would say that our baseball field is likely in the poorest shape of any baseball field that is on Cape Cod.
The school committee would like more information on possible sources of funding for the project and more concrete cost estimates before forming a subcommittee to work on the proposal. The Senior Center is getting some much-needed help thanks to 2 grants approved by Town Council last week. Director of Senior Services Madeline Noonan says the first grant from Elder Services will help pay for costs related to the center's transportation program.
This is a very critical program for us, as we've talked about many times. Our transportation program really provides an essential link to seniors that are trying to age in place at home but who can no longer drive themselves to appointments. So, we hear time and time again that this program is the lifeline to those people. Funding, for that program continues to be a challenge for us. I mean, as you know, we rely heavily on volunteer van drivers to staff the program and provide the rides to seniors. Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands is our regional AAA. It's called an Area Agency on Aging, and it's a federal designation that's given to organizations. And because of their status, money that comes from the federal government, and this happens to be Title III funding through the Older Americans Act, that's where it comes through to us. So we applied for funding. Our Assistant Director, Donna Burns, actually had submitted the application with the assistance of Judy Red and myself, and we were very fortunate to be again funded. And it's really important to mention that since we started the transportation program in 1998, so we're in our 16th year right now, Elder Services have funded us funded us every year. So they've really helped us ensure that we can sustain this program, and they really understand particularly the need, because they're providing funding to all of the Cape and Islands. But I think for the town of Barnstable, they realize that we are sort of the economic hub and have the highest concentration demographically, and also the geographic challenges with living in the town of Barnstable, and the distance that our program covers with rides, and that that creates some challenges.
Noonan says they are extremely grateful for that support. A second grant approved by Town Council last week from the Friends of the Barnstable Senior Center will help with the Barnstable Senior Center's outreach program.
And for us, the Friends are our safety net. So when we look at the budget that we get from, the funding that we get from the town of Barnstable, and the formula grant that we get from the state each year, we look at that funding and what we can, provide in terms of resources with that, and then, what the additional needs are that we don't have the funding for. And that's when the Friends really, step up and help us out. So we present them a budget every year. Once we know what our allocations are from the town and the state, with the additional things that we don't have the funding for, and they step up time and time again and really come to our rescue. This year, the gift they gave us, over $15,000, and this is in addition to the $10,000 they gave us earlier this year to help towards the needs assessment project. So when you look at for FY15, they've actually given us over $25,000 in total. These funds are being used. $10,000 of the $15,000 is going towards our outreach coordinator's position. The position is funded for 30 hours a week from the town, and the additional 7.5 hours a week the Friends have funded. This is the third year they've done that. I should mention that they're actually holding a fundraiser next Friday night, October 24th, at Alberto's Restaurant on Main Street, and they are raising money for the outreach department. So if anyone wants to have a fun night out, it's a great event. It's called the Masquerade Ball. The tickets are $50, and if you're over 60, there's a discounted rate of $35. And you can pick up the tickets at the Senior Center, or you can pay at the door, which the event will start next Friday at 6 p.m. And it's a great way to support the Senior Center and have a lot of fun. They're having a live auction, a silent auction. And the funding that they get from this event is what helps, towards, supporting the programs and services. So outreach is critically important to us. As you know, we've talked about that many times. The additional funding that they gave us, they $1,500 to help towards repairs and maintenance of our vehicles, $1,600 to replace some broken outdoor furniture, and then they help, as you know, we've talked about before, they fund some of the big events that we have here every year, including our volunteer luncheon.
And this year's Masquerade Ball will be held this Friday evening at Alberto's in Hyannis from 5:30 to 9:30. The fall round of oral rabies baiting is underway in Barnstable. Workers this week will fill bait stations placed in strategic locations throughout town. Hand baiting will begin next week. The baits are not harmful to your pets, but pet owners are asked to keep animals away from the bait, as they are intended for wildlife. And of course, you should wash your hands if you come in contact with the bait. Any questions can be directed to Barnstable Animal Control. Well, the Old Kings Highway Historic District Committee meets tonight at 6:30 in the West Barnstable Community Building. And the Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a hearing tonight at 7 in the Town Hall hearing room. Well, be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will chat with Airport Manager Bud Brialt. We'll learn more about the upcoming Hyannis fire vote. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.